Paul George is a Philadelphia 76er. That's right. It finally happened after I don't even know how long. It's been like probably a few weeks, I say, since we knew that he was going to leave the Clippers, at least getting a sense of that, and knowing that it's probably going to be the 76ers, especially like the last few days today. And Paul George, because of him, because of his decision, it happens typically, but when the big player, the main player in free agency, hits the market and doesn't really do anything, just takes meetings and stuff. The rest of free agency is on hold for the most part. You see it's kind of dry, and that's what happened. Paul George made a dry day today. I mean, some deals happen later on, but for the most part, it's dry. Like usually at the beginning, you get a whole bunch of stuff, but not because Paul George. It didn't happen. There's no champion for us because I guess they learned last year from what happened to actually the Sixers. Yeah, but besides the point, Paul George, he has finally agreed to a 4-year deal worth 212 million. That's a maximum contract with the Philadelphia 76ers. Um, George committed in a meeting of the Sixers officials and returns to the East to join Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey in pursuit of an NBA title. And also that last year, I think it's 2027 to 2028, has a player option. And if you actually break it down here, his contract in 2024-2025, he's getting 49.2 million. In 2025-2026, he's getting 51.7 million. And 2026-2027, he's getting 54.1 million. And then 2027 to 2028, which is the most, he's getting 56.6 million. So as you can see here, it's not like they have that type of deal where it's front loaded or back loaded. I mean, it is back loaded actually, technically. Not really. Front loaded where the most of the majority of the money is at the front, and then the later years it's less and less, which is for flexibility reasons. Here you see it gradually increases a little bit by a few million each year. Where in the final season, which is a player option, it's 56.6. But by this time, Paul George, I don't know how old he is now. It's weird because I remember seeing him when I first started watching basketball in like 2017, and yeah, it was like he was like young. He was like in his like probably mid 20s, honestly. Now 2024, he's like probably like 34, right? That seems about right. So he's in like 38. This is probably his last big contract. Like of this sort, his next contract will not be upwards of 56 million annually. There's no way. But the contract itself, you have to do it, man. Sixers is what it took to get Paul George because I don't know if you guys know this, but even Woj said it many times. The Clippers were willing to negotiate with him, and this couldn't come to anything that was like for both sides. It couldn't come to a compromise because Paul George wanted 4 years and probably big money, obviously rightfully so. Because Paul George is a good player. He's one of the top players in the league, especially a two-way player. You know the value that Paul George can bring to your team. And on top of that, the Clippers they didn't want to offer him that money because first of all he just get injured. He's injury prone. Okay, I'm sorry to say, but then also he's just not worth paying this much money to. Like 50 million, 56. On top of that, like yeah, it just wasn't worth it. And yeah, this is what it was going to take to get Paul George because he was set on it. But the Clippers, they didn't budge. And now because of that, it's implication with the Clippers, we don't know what's going to happen to them. But besides the points, let's talk about the Sixers. This is huge for the Sixers, Paul George. Embiid won, we know that because remember during when Embiid was on the panel, he was really with Paul George, just kind of like winking at him, trying to like get him like to join the Sixers. That was literally the weirdest thing ever. I mean, that was tampering, like besides the point. Uh, Embiid, he's just a funny guy. But yeah, Embiid finally gets some help. I mean, obviously had Maxey like more help, and some Paul George was obviously Paul George just fits on any team. He's a two-way player, and we know that obviously he's going to be, for being honest, third best player on the team. Tyrese Maxey at this point, I'd say, is better than Paul George. I don't know if that's a hot take or not, but if I would run the team, I would have it obviously Embiid first, and then in the pecking order, Embiid first, second, Tyrese Maxey, and then Paul George third. Especially at the age Paul George is at. And the third option that should be good because on the Clippers do not know what they're doing, bro. I'm gonna be honest. That's one of the things. Paul George probably also saw that they reached their ceiling there. They couldn't do it. They couldn't bring the chip. But he sees here, Sixers, they're on the cusp. They're so close to getting there. They just need like another thing, man. Another really good player, and that really good player is Paul George. And also, both sides are hoping that this elevates them to that, championship. Simply put, they're hoping this literally gets them and win the NBA championship. Paul George, man, it's sad to say. It's sad to see that he's like, bro, he's like, I love Paul George, honestly. It's sad to see that he doesn't have a ring. He's ringless still. Like, I don't want to be like CP3. Like, he needs to actually win a ring. And, yeah, but pairing him with Tyrese Maxey and B is going to be insane to see. I'm just thinking about like there's gonna be a whole bunch of situations where like Max is taking up the ball and Bede is doing like a pick and roll with him, and then like, they're just gonna leave Paul George over for three, and he's gonna splash it, and then the crowd's gonna get hype. Like I'm just imagining those things. And Paul George, it's like a little thing where like Tyrese kicks it out to him, and like he starts doing like that dribble from 3 point line, and then like he cooks his way, drives in, just does the Paul George things. Like I'm just thinking about like that's like it's just cool to see. Honestly, it's a cool thing about. And consider this with the other moves that the Sixers made. It kind of like the writing was on the wall that they were like preparing to get Paul George because they re-signed Oubre, which is a really good decision. If he didn't get hurt, I still believe he would have had like a really really good year where they couldn't actually afford him, to be honest. But besides the point, Oubre's back, so that's key. Good defender. He can shoot, uh, pretty well, I'd say. And then on top of that, they got Andre Drummond back on like what 2 years, 10 million. Oubre was like 2 years, 16 million. And yeah, Drummond, they brought him back because they need a backup center, and that's perfect. You got your backup center, Andre Drummond. He was pretty good for the Sixers when he was there as our backup center back then, like before last season. So that's fine. Because Embiid, he does get hurt. That's another thing. So you need a good backup center. Because we saw, was it Paul Reed, right? From if I'm not mistaken, Paul Reed. But the thing is, he's too small. He's like 6'9", 6'10". He just gets bodied. I've seen, bro. I've had that man in fantasy. I've seen it all. And yeah, so it's good stuff. And then also they picked up Eric Gordon, another good bench player you could have. Just honestly fits on any team, can just shoot, and that's what you need. I mean, on Suns he's kind of mixed, inconsistent, but besides the point, he should turn up on here. So Sixers setting themselves up in a position where they should be championship favorites. Honestly, like it just depends. It just depends. I don't know. Paul George, like if I like, I don't want to speak into existence, but like there's a possibility where PG and Embiid get injured like just before the playoffs or like during the playoffs. Like it wouldn't be out of the world. It wouldn't be something like insane, but I like the team's nice though. Like I just love this for the team. Yeah, it's just gonna be fun to see, especially this new look. Because Paul George, I remember like I started watching basketball. He was on the Thunder, right? Because he joined like weird. He joined like 2016, 2017. I forget. It's been a while. I remember watching Carmelo and stuff, and Westbrook, and then obviously the whole thing. Kawhi recruited him, and they requested trade, and boom, that whole package. That's ridiculous. That was looking good. OKC's cooking with that. It looks even better now. But yeah, besides the point. It's just sad. Like I just remember watching Paul George pretty much like my whole basketball like career. I've been watching games and following the NBA, and now seeing him gone from Clippers because it's been 5 years, right? So that's like it's insane. Before even COVID, he's been on the Clippers, and like sad to see that they couldn't even win a championship. That team like Kawhi, Paul George, James Harden, Westbrook, even Kawhi and PG by themselves, and like just having good supporting cast, which it did, should be able to win you a championship. But the injuries, man, and just the time is unfortunate. Like him and Kawhi just couldn't. I don't know. Like they only had a few games where they like on like the same like I don't know timing. I guess if that makes sense. Like it was just unfortunate amount of events, and yeah. But the Sixers are gonna cook now. Excited to see it. How Paul George versus Embiid. But yeah, I'd be surprised if Paul George got more touches, like if he was a second option compared to Tyrese Maxey. And Paul George is gonna gladly take the role. And yeah, what else was there? There's also like yeah, so 212, like to put it in perspective from what I remember. I don't remember OG's number, but OG's getting more than Paul George, but also that was like a contract extension, so that's why. But obviously, there's gonna be bonuses in the steal, so it's not all guaranteed. Damn, that voice cracked. But besides the point, it's not all guaranteed. Um, yeah, so it's not as bad as people think, but this is what it takes to get this type of player. Now he's got to wait and see. Maybe the Sixers have more moves up their sleeve. We don't know. Um, but yeah, come on. Hopefully they both stay healthy. See what happens in the future. But if they don't win a championship, that's gonna look really bad. It's gonna look really bad. Embiid's gonna go ringless then. That's gonna be bad. But I did see that they brought like obviously Elton Brand, Daryl Morey, and even Julius Erving were at the meeting. So that's pretty insane. And yeah, the Clippers already knew they were gonna lose him and all that. I might make a video about the Clippers, the implications that the Clippers have now on them. But yeah, this team's insane. This team's defense is gonna be pretty good. I'm not gonna lie, it's gonna be cracked, and their offense is gonna be hard to stop. Because Paul George brings like another like type of like dynamic to the team. Because like the playing styles are also all pretty different. And Embiid obviously is a big, but he's like a unique big. Tyrese Maxey, a guard, but he's like a quick guard, shifty, can shoot very well. And Paul George is just like I don't know. Paul George is like a unique player. Obviously, we know he's a two-way player, But I don't know, just the way he even like moves and stuff. I don't know. If you know what I mean, yeah, this is a good move. Hopefully Sixers can win a championship. If not, it's gonna be sad for them. Honestly, this is it, man. This is it. If you don't get it here, Embiid's gonna be on. It might even be done. I don't even know.